I can't tell though, it might just be a blanket. But it's the only cell that's locked. Is he gonna shoot it?
The guard makes us turn the camera off while he shoots the lock off the cell door. We go in to get a closer look. It's still not clear if there is something under the blanket.
Oh, it moved. Is there someone there? I thought I saw it move. Is someone there? Or is it just a blanket? I don't know.
I think it's someone. Hello?
Okay, it's just moving.
Oh.
I'm a civilian, he says. I'm a civilian.
It's okay.
He tells the fighter he's from the city of Humps and has been in the cell for 3 months.
Okay, you're okay. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay.
Yeah, he's okay, but CNN isn't. What you're seeing has officially been debunked. CNN has once again been caught fabricating a news story. We're going to see the latest stunt pulled by the most distrusted name in fake news, and we're going to see why it's all just par for the course for this fledgling and failing so-called news network. Hey, gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to celebrate the dawning of a new golden age that you made possible on November the 5th. So if you want to stay informed on the latest happenings and the rise of a new conservative age, then you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Also, when I think about what CNN just got caught doing, I'm reminded of how important it is to stay informed from all angles. With biased reporting and big tech algorithms, it's tough to get a complete view of the news. That's why I'm grateful for Ground News. It's a game changer for anyone who values critical thinking and wants to see the full picture. Ground News is a website and app that gathers news from over 50,000 outlets from around the world. It helps you compare how issues are covered across the political spectrum and highlights stories you might not even know exist. See for yourself at ground.news/Steve. For example, take this story about FBI Director Christopher Wray saying he's going to resign when Donald Trump takes office. Now, this story's been covered by over 400 news outlets, and you could see 25% of the coverage came from left-leaning sources, 27% from right-leaning sources. But then you can compare the headlines. For example, one left-leaning headline emphasizes the FBI director's personal difficulty with the decision by quoting him saying that this is not easy for me. But on the other side, the right-leaning headline focuses on Republican reactions and speculations about Kash Patel, the incoming FBI director under Trump. These different angles show you how headlines can shift the focus and shape public perception. My favorite feature is the blind spot feed, which shows stories that are heavily covered by one side but ignored by the other. It's a powerful way to stay informed and make up your own mind. Now, if you're tired of biased reporting and want to see the bigger picture, check out ground.news/Steve, where you can get 50% off their unlimited access Vantage plans. The best deal of the year. And if you're already subscribed, you could even gift a subscription to friends or family. So click the link in the description or scan the QR code to support Ground News and Turley Talks today.
After 3 months in a windowless cell, he can finally see the sky.
انت حر انت حر روح حد اعصابك.
My God, the light.
It was supposed to be one of the most harrowing moments on television news. CNN correspondent Clarissa Ward led viewers inside a secret, dark Syrian jail searching for a missing U.S. journalist when all of a sudden they stumbled upon a prisoner left behind, a prisoner who didn't even know that the Assad regime that had imprisoned him had collapsed. Clarissa Ward herself tweeted out that in her 20 years as a correspondent, this was one of the most extraordinary moments she had ever personally witnessed. Extraordinary for sure, extraordinarily fake. As it turns out, according to Syrian sources, that so-called prisoner was actually a member of Bashar al-Assad's forces. He's reportedly, or at least he was, actually a prison guard working on behalf of the Assad regime. He wasn't a prisoner. He wasn't left behind, as it were. In the end, it was all staged. The whole thing was fabricated, and CNN has had to admit it. Or better, they're doing their best to spin the whole fiasco as if they were duped into it all. But you don't have to look too far into CNN's history to see that this is rather, shall we say, par for the course for this fledgling network. For example, perhaps some of you will remember this.
No matter where the virus goes, the way to stop it will always be the same. Our collective conscientious actions. Staying home.
All right, here it is. The official re-entry from the basement. Cleared by CDC. A little sweaty. Just worked out. Happens. This is what I've been dreaming of, literally, for weeks.
So as you could see, that was an entire segment on CNN of one of their own at the time, of course. Chris Cuomo is no longer with them. Cuomo was diagnosed with coronavirus, and he claimed that he sequestered himself in his basement for weeks. And then CNN filmed his triumphant emergence from the basement, Lazarus-like, from the quarantine. And he reunites with his family and blah, blah, blah. The one problem with all that, it was all a lie. We now know that Cuomo broke his own self-isolation because it turned out he had an altercation with a biker near his home in these Hamptons on that Easter Sunday of that year. And not only did he break quarantine, but apparently he was spotted outside with his family and without a face mask to boot. So that emergence from the basement, filmed by CNN and reported as news, was all a total fabrication. It wasn't real. Again, according to the New York's intelligencer, hardly a right-wing source, we now know that Chris Cuomo had already been out of his basement and upstairs with his family for days prior to that. Again, the important point here is that what CNN presented as news was indeed staged. Those weren't reporters, they were directors, they were choreographers. Which begs the question, to what extent is CNN reporting news versus narrative? I mean, think about it. They told us that Trump colluded with Russia to steal the 2016 election. They told us that Jussie Smollett was the victim of a race crime. They told us that Brett Kavanaugh was a rapist, that the COVID lab leak was nothing but a conspiracy theory, that border agents on horseback ran around whipping migrants, that the Covenant Catholic school kids mocked and ridiculed a malign, poor, peaceful Native American simply banging on his drum, that Trump built cages for migrant kids and recommended that we all drink bleach to cure COVID, that Kyle Rittenhouse was a white supremacist, and of course, the king of them all, that the Hunter Biden laptop was nothing more than Russian disinformation. As it turns out, none of what I just listed was news. It was all narrative. And it wasn't just narrative. It was consistently a narrative that sought to disparage President Trump and denigrate the MAGA movement. It was a narrative that sought to disparage President Trump and denigrate the MAGA movement. It was a narrative deliberately designed to benefit one side of the political aisle at the expense of the other. So this goes way beyond merely tabloid journalism, as it's often called, where news organizations package their reporting in sensationalist garb for the purpose of increasing their audience. No, this is literally about deliberate attempts at manipulating their audience. It's not simply an attempt at increasing viewership. It's about deliberately deceiving that viewership, contriving and concocting narratives and supposed news stories for the purpose of engineering a particular partisan response on the part of their viewership. And here's the key, without their viewers knowing that. There's a duplicity here that's just beyond description. I honestly cannot think of a single reputable conservative right-wing news source that does anything remotely like that, that deliberately seeks to dupe its viewers into thinking that their reporting is objective, nonpartisan mediation of neutral information like left-wing outlets do. We're all about facts. Well, unfortunately for them, these left-wing news outlets, it only works if they have a monopoly over information acquisition. If the masses are totally reliant on the media mediating information to them, that information that they themselves alone have a privileged relationship to and a monopoly over, then these legacy media outlets can largely get away with these manipulation tactics. But if information has been radically democratized, if information has been decentralized away from these media outlets and widely disseminated among the population, then the legacy media can't engage in these obvious antics without getting routinely and repeatedly caught. And that's exactly what's happening, particularly with CNN. Because of the internet, the masses now have the same access to the same information as anyone at CNN does, which means that we're all now in the position to fact check the self-anointed fact checkers. We are in the position to fact check them, which means that the era of the legacy media is officially over. It's gone. As it turns out, the ultimate hoax is now how they try to convince themselves to operate in the face of their increasing irrelevance.